Hi, this is Ian Wilder with the Babylon Greens. We're here at the Pisces Cafe down in lovely Babylon Village. We're having our gatherings here every month. We have a different topic every month. The topic for this month is a Human Rights Update with Jim Smith of the local Amnesty International chapter. He'll give us lots of great information about that. If you want to find out about tonight's topic, or if you want to find out about upcoming topics, other Green Party activities, or other local political or cultural activities, you can go to the website, www.onthewilderside.net. That's on thewilderside.net. You can get all the information you need there. If you're interested in enrolling in the Green Party or finding out more information about anything that's there, you can contact me, Ian Wilder. My information is all over the website. If you're interested in enrolling in the Green Party, you can do that with any voter enrollment form. Just go down to the box on the bottom that says Other. You check off that box, write in the word Green. You can come down and join us sometime here at the Pisces Cafe in Babylon Village, first Wednesday of every month. Thank you.
Evening, everybody. My name is Jim Smith. I'm a member of Amnesty International, and I've been asked to speak to members of the Babylon Town Green Party on May 2nd of 2007. Amnesty International is an international organization with more than 1 million members worldwide that is devoted to defending human rights in a variety of areas. And while Amnesty traditionally has been involved with letter writing and publicity highlighting the imprisonment of so-called prisoners of conscience who have been jailed for their religious or political views, in recent years Amnesty has branched out into a number of other areas, and the website is www.aiusa.org, and it's one of the best websites I've ever seen, with a vast array of ways that you can tap in to various campaigns. And I got hooked about 5 years ago on the issue of corporate responsibility when I found out that Amnesty has a group that actually lobbies for that American companies that do business abroad will respect human rights, that they will allow workers to unionize, that they will not pollute, and obviously will respect the rights of the people in the nations that they do business in. And I've also run programs at my church involving the Amnesty Stop Violence Against Women campaign, which has taken on a lot of responsibility in the last 3 years after it was announced at the annual general meeting in Brooklyn in 2004. Plugging in keywords into the Amnesty search box on the website will tell you, for instance, that over 1,900 women have been murdered in Guatemala since 2001. It will also tell you that in Juarez, Mexico, hundreds of women have been raped, kidnapped, and murdered. So what does Amnesty do about it? In addition to writing letters, holding candlelight vigils for the dead, Amnesty also produces reports that are distributed to politicians. Amnesty members show up on the steps of embassies of nations that are derelict in respecting human rights. And Amnesty also engages the services of various celebrities like Antonio Banderas and others to shine the light on abuses wherever they may take place. I've written 4 articles for Newsday in the past 5 years on amnesty-related issues. I wrote one of them about ways that teenagers can get involved in human rights activities. I did another on Bill Schultz, the outgoing Amnesty executive director, who was replaced by Larry Cox in the last 2 years. I've also written about a program in which there's tabling at rock concerts to get people to sign petitions for causes in the human rights area. And I also did an article on Amnesty partnering with the Sierra Club in a program called Defending Defenders of the Environment, in which people who had blown the whistle in various countries about pollution and other environmental violations were then jailed. For instance, there was a Russian former skipper of a nuclear submarine who blew the whistle on dumping of nuclear waste in the Arctic and then was incarcerated for treason. And of course, Amnesty protested, sent a delegation to Moscow, sought to put pressure on the government, and eventually this fellow was released. Another case involved 2 environmentalists in Mexico who had protested clear cutting by Boise Cascade paper company, and then were framed as being arms traffickers and marijuana salesmen, and posed with drugs and guns that were put in their hands and then incarcerated. And eventually they were released. So I belong to Group 74 of Amnesty USA, which meets monthly in a Westbury home, and anyone who would like to find out where and when the meetings are held could telephone me at 631-843-2478, and I'll be happy to give you the information. When we show up at meetings, each of us has our own particular cause that we're involved in. I run programs at a church. I recently brought in 2 speakers from Manhattan on the Stop Violence Against Women's campaign, and they spoke before a women's group at our church. We have other members whose issue is the death penalty, and Amnesty categorically opposes the death penalty for any reason. And there's a very active group in New York State, anti-death penalty. I have participated in a meeting with Representative Carolyn McCarthy at her office in Roosevelt Field, and I was among 5 people from our chapter that brought her a copy of the UN report on Guantanamo Bay and urged her to work to try to get that detention center closed. The shame of the last few years under the Bush administration is that Amnesty is now engaged in much more work in the United States than it has ever been before. And most of this work stems from the so-called war on terror initiated after 9/11. And the fact that, you know, an Abu Ghraib existed, that Alberto Gonzalez was drafting memos allowing or laying the groundwork for torture that went on, and then rewarded with the Attorney General job, and the general atmosphere of condoning torture by the Bush administration has made it tough for Americans working for Amnesty to call on other nations to release political prisoners and not to torture, because we've frankly lost the moral high ground. But as I mentioned before, if you will check the Amnesty website, you'll see that we're involved in campaigns on dozens of issues around the world. And you know, sometimes it feels like you're taking a couple of steps forward and then 3 steps back. I know that we had a prisoner of conscience named Thaddeus Nguyen Van Ly, who was a Vietnamese Catholic priest, and we wrote letters on his behalf from the Westbury chapter for several years, and then finally were elated to know that Father Lee was released from jail. Apparently his only crime was growing a vegetable garden and distributing vegetables to the poor, and of course also engaging in political activity where he criticized the government. So he stayed free for a while, but on May 30th he was back on trial again, and declaring he was said to be treasonous and incarcerated again for anti-government activities. So I'm sure that we'll be writing letters on his behalf again. Each chapter has a special case that it's working on, and the one that we're working on now involves a fellow named Mesfin Waldemarian from Ethiopia, and he protested irregularities in an Ethiopian election and was jailed as a result. And so we've been sending a holiday card to him over the Christmas holiday, you know, a generic card just saying that we were thinking of him. We also sent a birthday card for him on his 77th birthday, and we've sent letters to the Minister of Justice and the President, the leader of Ethiopia, urging that this political prisoner be released. Members of Amnesty are in an email chain for information that comes daily from around the world, so that, for instance, on Friday, April 13th, we received word that one journalist was killed in Acapulco, Mexico, and another was threatened, and apparently this resulted from some broadcasts that they had done on radio against some local drug lords. And so again, many of us were saddened by the fact that in 2006 at least 10 journalists were murdered and a number of others were abducted in Mexico, and expressed our regret to Mexican officials. We also received information from the Amnesty general meetings which are held annually in the United States, and there are also quarterly meetings and conferences, and there's screenings of films in Manhattan on social justice topics. So all of this information filters through us to us on the web. And in the corporate responsibility area, Amnesty has millions of dollars of investments in American corporations, and the idea is not really to grow the portfolio, but to lay the groundwork for shareholder resolutions. So Amnesty officials show up, for instance, at the annual meeting of Chevron and ask that a resolution be read into the minutes urging Chevron to clean up polluted areas of Ecuador and Nigeria in which they had operated. Actually, the spur to the whole movement of corporate responsibility in this country was the Union Carbide spill in Bhopal, India, that killed more than 7,000 people, and immediately, and 15,000 others in years that followed. Union Carbide eventually was bought by Dow, which claims that it isn't responsible for any of the deaths that resulted from the spill because it isn't Union Carbide, it's Dow. So Amnesty constantly shows up at Dow annual meetings and trying to pressure the company to do the right thing and take care of compensating the families of some of the people who died as a result of the pollution and the negligence. Amnesty also urges the repeal of the Military Commissions Act of 2006, which provides for trials by military commissions that violate basic human rights standards and strip U.S. courts of jurisdiction to consider habeas corpus appeals, and use the term enemy combatant to refer to so-called terrorists. Amnesty also solicits contributions in programs such as the America I Believe In campaign, and I know I have a poster up at work that says the America I Believe In doesn't torture. So those are a few of the various programs that Amnesty is involved in, and as I said, I invite you to contact me at the number I gave, 631-843-2478, for any further information that you'd like. And I'd like to thank you all for having me.